Today we're going to be reading a book called Growing Trees. And this is the title page. And the title page has the title on top, which is Growing Trees. And it also has the author and illustrator. So the author, or it was written by Judith Bauer Stamper. And it was illustrated, or the pictures were drawn by Wesley Lowe. This is a picture of my tree and me. We've been growing up together for a whole year. Wow. That's a long time. She was growing him for a whole year. It all began last summer. I went to visit a national forest with my mom and my dad. A forest is a great place to learn about trees. There are trees as far as you can see. Have you ever gone to a forest? Yeah, there's a bunch of trees everywhere, huh? We took a hike with the forester and an expert on taking care of trees in the wild. The forester showed us small, young trees. These are the small trees. And big old trees that were like towering giants. Look how tall they are. Those are so tall. He explained the life cycle of a tree. It all starts out with the seed. There's the seed. In the spring, the warm sun makes the seed begin to grow or germinate. See, it's growing. It has roots. The root came out. The seed sprouts a small root that grows down into the ground. The root absorbs. Absorbs means water and minerals from the soil. It means that it goes inside the roots so it can make it grow. Next, the small stem pushes out of the ground and grows into two tiny seed leaves. See? Two little leaves. The leaves use sunlight to give the tree energy to grow. A new growth called a shoot appears at the tip of the stem. Larger leaves grow from the shoot. Then the seedling is on its way to become a tree. So here's the stem. Here are the two little leaves. And then the shoot up here. And the leaves, the bigger leaves. The young tree keeps growing if it gets enough water and sunlight to survive. In its next year of life, the tree grows buds that may turn into leaves. Soon the tree has branches and a woody trunk and bark and lots of leaves. So here's the trunk and there's the bark, the branches that go off, and then the leaves on top. Each year the tree goes taller and its trunk gets wider, so that means it goes this way. The forester can tell how old a tree is by counting its rings. A tree trunk has one ring for each year it has been alive. This tree has more than 100 years old. A forester can also find out how old a living tree is by using a tree borer, a tool that takes out a small part of the tree without hurting it. So this is a tool that they can use to take a piece out of the tree and see how old it is. Or they can look at the lines. Do you guys see the lines? Barely there. They can count them and they see how old it is. After a trip to the forest, I wanted to grow a tree of my own. Dad took me to a nursery where you can buy flowers, shrubs, and trees. A nursery has trees that have grown big enough to transplant or plant into a new place. The nursery workers showed me trees that have flowers in the spring and that have flowers in the spring and fruit in the summer. We looked at trees with soft leaves and trees with pine needles. Have you ever been to a nursery? A nursery is where they sell a lot of plants, kind of like a store for plants. And like they're watering the trees. Yeah, don't forget to water trees or bushes or plants. I chose a maple tree. My tree was already more than 4 feet high. Just a little taller than me. See how it's a little bit taller? And she decided to take this one home with her. And like it's wrapped, so the soil and the roots cannot come out. The nursery worker helped us choose a shovel to plant the tree. She recommended organic fertilizer to feed the tree as it grew. Then she went over the instructions on how to plant my tree. There they are, looking at shovels. And they're going to buy fertilizer. Fertilizer helps the tree grow stronger. I picked out a place in my backyard where the tree would have lots of sunlight and lots of room to grow. Then Dad and I dug a hole. Dig, dig, dig with your shovel. Dig, dig. The hole was as deep as the tree's root ball and about 3 times as wide. So wide is this way, remember? So you have to make it very wide. We carefully lowered the tree into the hole. We loosened the burlap bag around the tree. So they took off the bag that was on it. Next, they filled it with soil around the tree and added organic fertilizer to the soil and sprinkled mulch on top. See? Don't forget to pat it down gently. And the last step is to water it to make sure it gets lots of water and sunlight. Dad asked an arborist to check the other trees in our yard. An arborist is like a doctor for trees. She pruned the branches of our big trees with pruning shears. See, she's taking them off. Sometimes the branches can be too heavy. She checked all the trees for signs of disease. She also listened for bugs by using her stethoscope. So remember, the stethoscope is what the doctors use as well, because they can listen when it's very quiet. She looked like a doctor. One of our oldest trees had been damaged in a storm. The arborist used a handsaw and a chainsaw to cut off 2 broken limbs. Limbs are the branches that were already broken, so she took them off. I asked the arborist to check my tree. She said it was doing just fine. She added a stake to help it grow up straight. When the weather turned cold, my tree's green leaves turned bright red. Then they twirled down to the ground. So you guys see here the 2 stakes and how they tied it together. This is to make it grow straight, because if your tree goes sideways, it might break because it's not strong enough yet. And it's very thin. So we have to put stakes on each side and tie it to the tree so the tree can go up straight, straight, straight. And prevent it from falling or cracking or breaking. And I know all my friends have seen the red leaves or orange, and they fall to the ground when it starts getting cold. The next spring, my tree grew buds that turned into leaves. Over the summer, it grew branches and more leaves. Its trunk grew thicker. So here are the little buds that turn into leaves. Those green things turn into leaves. This is a leaf from my red maple tree. It has 3 lobes that have sawtooth edges. And the bark is dark gray and rough with little ridges. See, it's getting stronger. It's getting the ridges on the side, the bark. Before it was nice and smooth. Now it's bumpy. I mean, it's getting stronger. All summer, I watered my tree and checked it for insects. It just kept growing. The arborist said that my tree could grow 60 feet high. That's even taller than a house. Look at my tree now. It's much taller than I am. If I take good care of it, it will be around for a long, long time. A tree is a great friend to grow up with because they grow for a very long time, for hundreds and hundreds of years. And you can plant your own tree. Which tree would you like to plant? Which one is your favorite kind of tree? Do you like one that have fruit or just ones that just have leaves?